Have you ever been traumatized? I mean, shaken to the absolute core of your life and your being, so much so that you're having a difficult time recovering, getting your equilibrium back after what happened? More specifically, have you ever been traumatized because somebody cheated on you? Like you trusted that person, you believed that there was a relationship bond, a connection that was full of fidelity, that it was trustworthy, and they cheated on you, and you know what that trauma feels like. If you're the person who was cheated on, that trauma can stay with you for a long, long time. And if you're the person who cheated, you need to know exactly what the person is experiencing who has been traumatized by your cheating, your infidelity, your not being trustworthy. And so in this video, I'm going to share with you what trauma is, what triggers are, and what it's like for someone who's been traumatized by cheating. What is it that they go through? What is it that they experience? Because it's not a pretty picture. And there's one thing that they need more than anything, which I'm going to touch on at the end of this video. Hey, my name is Rod Harrison. I'm a relationships expert and an executive marriage coach. I help people remove and reduce stress in their relationship life. I help them really increase their productivity because bad relationships and relationship trauma makes it difficult to focus and to be productive. I help people improve their connections, their relationships. And sometimes that connection is with ourselves. So, in this video, let's talk about the trauma that happens when you've been cheated on. Hey, I got a great resource for you, so make sure that you check in the description below because there you're going to find the 5 things you need to do when you've been cheated on. And no matter when this happened to you, it's still important for you to know, what do I do? How do I gather myself and move on? So make sure that you grab the worksheet. It's free for you. It's a free resource. Just check it out in the link below. That's yours as a gift from me to you. All right, so let's talk about this. First of all, we have to talk about what trauma is, because it's such a widely used word in our society now. So everybody's talking about trauma, and sometimes we tend to minimize what trauma is because it's such a known word in our vocabulary as a society. But trauma, you don't want to underestimate the pain of it or the depth of it, what it can do to our lives. Trauma is a negative emotion that we carry with us as a result of a very painful, jarring experience. Sometimes it's a one-time experience, and other times it can be a repeated experience or a chronic experience, but it brings with us, or it causes in us, a negative emotional memory. That's what trauma does. So whether it's a car accident, or whether it's something that happens to you unexpected, it turns on all of the alarms in our brains and in our bodies, and makes us alert and aware and over anxious. Over anxious, very anxious is probably a better way to describe it. But it creates this rise in anxiety within us that we carry with us, so that if we ever experience anything similar to it, we remember it in the memory of our emotions, and that's what we call a trigger. So, if you heard a crash or heard the noise of a car crash, and you were in that car crash, and you remember what that trauma was like, you can hear a similar noise 5, 10, 20, 30, 50 years from now, and every time you hear that sound, you feel the exact same thing inwardly that you experienced when the accident happened. When it comes to cheating, the very same thing happens to us. So if you've been cheated on, and we'll talk about what happens, what that trauma looks like. If you've been cheated on, then building relationships can be very traumatic. Trusting again can be very traumatic. And so I wanted to give you some picture of what trauma looks like, but what happens later is the triggers, so that if there's anything similar that sparks an emotion that we remember inside, that's what a trigger is. And so you can be easily triggered no matter who you are. Listen, these are not deficiencies, by the way. These are very normal things that we experience because we're human. So trauma happens to all of us. And different things can cause trauma, whether it's an acute situation like an accident, or being in war, or being betrayed in a relationship is traumatic. I'm telling you, I know what trauma is. I've been through trauma myself. And if you're watching this video, you know what trauma is like because you've been through it yourself. But it's the triggers that can have such a damaging effect. And I want you to know that you can actually recover from trauma. That's the thing I want you to know. You can actually get better from trauma. You can be stronger after trauma. You can grow deeper after trauma. You can find yourself in a space that you never thought possible, of peace, of joy, um, of hope. You can discover new things about yourself as a result of trauma. And so I want you to know you're not limited in your life because of the trauma that you experienced at the hands of somebody that you loved, who betrayed your trust, who cheated on you, who pulled the rug from under your feet, as it were, in the relationship. So that's trauma. That's triggers. For most of this video, I want to talk about this last part, and that is why cheating on somebody or being cheated on is so traumatic, why it's so traumatizing. What is it that it does? Let me describe to you what happens to people who've been cheated on. One, the foundation of trust is instantly destroyed. Just imagine there was someone in your life you trusted, you believed in them, you thought we were together, we're on the same page, we're for each other, we've got each other's backs, and you discover that that person, whether it was your spouse or your partner, cheated on you, and now all of a sudden that trust is gone, and it's like all of a sudden your whole life changes, your whole perspective about the relationship, your whole perspective about whether you could lean on that person and know they were going to be there for you, that's gone, it's changed. And that is traumatic because we're designed by God to be able to trust people. At the foundation of any relationship is trust. If it's going to be a great relationship, I must be able to trust you, you must be able to trust me. And when that trust is rocked and shaken by cheating, oh my lands, it is traumatic. So that's one thing. What, right? The trust is destroyed. The foundation of the relationship is hit hard. The feeling of safety is taken away. When you trust someone, you feel safe around them. You feel like I can trust them with my story. I can trust them with my, the details of my life. And all of a sudden, when they have cheated on you, you don't feel safe emotionally. How can I open myself up to you? How can I let you in close to me after you have betrayed my trust? It's traumatic when I can no longer open myself up to you. I don't feel safe with you. This is something I hear clients say all the time. They say, I just don't feel safe with my spouse anymore. And by the way, if you're the one who cheated on your spouse, just know that when you rock their safety, their sense of safety with you, it takes more time to rebuild than it took to break. It takes more time. I like to say that trust um, is lost in buckets, but it is regained in drips. Drip, 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 drip. It takes time. Don't try to rush somebody to recover from infidelity, from cheating. Tell them you just need to get over it. You should trust me. I told you I was never going to do it again. Please shut up. Shut right up. Don't even talk like that, right? Because the trust has been destroyed, the feeling of safety has been taken away, and oftentimes old wounds are re injured. So whenever you have an injury in a relationship or even before the relationship, when cheating happens, you can open up a whole new wound. What are you talking about? What do you mean? For example, if you cheat on your spouse and your spouse had a parent who cheated on their spouse or the other parent, and as a child, they knew about it, and they knew that eerie feeling. All of a sudden, this wound from childhood, from that experience, can be reopened. So when you cheat on someone, when a person um, has been cheated on, an old wound can resurface, and so now the trauma is complex. So it's not just that you cheated on the person, but it is that they know what it was like to experience cheating in their upbringing, their childhood experience. And now that wound is reopened. And so now it is complex. Here's what I want you to get: do not minimize the pain and the extraordinary complexity of the trauma that's created. Well, let's talk about the grief of loss, because when a person is cheated on, it's as if they lost someone, someone that they knew, someone that they loved, someone that they believed in, someone that they thought had their back, and all of a sudden that's gone, and now they're going through the grieving process. So when I'm working with my clients, I take them through not only a D-Day, which is disclosure, so we can put everything on the table, but there must also be a G-Day, because whatever you lose, you must grieve. You got to grieve it. You say, well, what do you lose when you've been cheated on? Well, you lose trust. You lose the idea or the ideal of the relationship that you had. You lose the connection, and what you had in that relationship is gone, and you got to grieve it. Yeah, you got to go through the process. Sometimes that process is part of that process is the denial. It is the denial, it's the anger, it's the bargaining that comes with it, it's the depression, and it is eventually the acceptance. And that process can take a long time to go through. I got a call from someone the other day who was interested in working with me as their coach, and they described that they were struggling in their marriage because they were angry. And we got to the root of some things and discovered that part of their anger had to do with the loss of their dad, which happened 25 years ago. And what we were able to help them see is that, oh, you're in the next to last process, or part of the process of grief. And it's been 25 years, and you keep taking this anger out on your spouse. And that's why there's so much relationship problem. Here's all I'm saying: if you lose something, you got to grieve it. And when there's been infidelity, cheating, you lose something. The person who's been cheated on loses something. And in fact, the person who cheated loses something. And you have to grieve it if you lose it, because it's hard to recover what you don't grieve. It's hard to fix what you don't face. Let me say that part one more time. It's hard to fix what you don't face. You got to face it as a loss. Let me give you a couple other things: the shame, the embarrassment. Oh my goodness. All of a sudden, a person's life is rocked, and they carry this shame which says, I must not be an adequate person. I must not have been enough. And so because they've been cheated on, there's this shame they carry. Like, everybody's looking at me. Everybody sees me. I feel like a fool. I feel like a failure. How could I have trusted this person? How could I have given my life to this person? How could I have opened myself up? And there's this shame and this embarrassment, and they feel like I don't want people to know. And sometimes they cover it up and they don't want to let it out as if it were their fault. Let me just pause right here and tell you, if you have been cheated on, it is not your fault. You're not responsible for what your partner, your spouse did. They're responsible for their own decisions. There was nothing you did, period, to make them do what they did. They did what they did because they decided to do what they did, and it's not your fault. And so shame and embarrassment are a big part of the trauma that people experience. And then the whole future is upended. What's going to happen to our relationship? Where are we going? Do I even try to work this out? What's going to happen to the kids, right? How do I show up to the kids' school? What do I say to my parents? What do I say to my friends, right? They're trying to assess all of the future because everything has been shaken and upended. And I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I don't know what's going to happen 5 years from now. I don't know what I should do tomorrow. I don't know how I should handle this. I don't know what this means for my future. This is the trauma that comes when you cheat on someone. Then lastly, let me add this part, the haunting thoughts. Can I ever trust this person again? What if we work on it, but they don't tell all the truth? They don't tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help them God. What if um, there is a sexually transmitted disease? Now I got to go to the doctor. I got to get examined. How often did this happen? Where did it happen? Where was I when this was happening? You following what I'm saying to you? All of this is the trauma that a person experiences. The question, why, 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 why? Literally, the anxiety is off the roof, and a person's cortisol level goes to an all-time high, and it can take years for that cortisol level to ever come back to normal. So they're carrying this anxiety now that keeps them on constant alert, constantly on the edge. And you need to know, for those of you who are thinking about cheating, that when you cheat on someone, it is such a betrayal. Listen to me, because it's so unlike the way God is toward us. You may not be a spiritual person, a religious person, you may not have a background, but I'm just telling you, what I know about God is that he is faithful to the core. And the scripture says he'll never leave you, he won't ever forsake you. But when you cheat on somebody, it shakes the foundation, and it goes so against what God is like in a person's life that they feel it, and they can feel it for the rest of their lives. But they can recover. And I said to you at the early part of this video that I'm going to tell you the one thing people must have when they've been cheated on. So if you're ready to help your spouse, your partner recover, you got to get good at this one thing. And I'm going to tell you in just a moment. But before I do, please make sure that you go to the description, the link in the description, and grab that worksheet, right? The first 5 things to do after cheating or after infidelity has happened. It's a worksheet for you. It's going to outline your first 5 most important steps. You don't want to miss it because it's going to give you clarity when your brain is offline from having been cheated on. All right, so that's for you. Make sure that you get it. All right, now, you want to talk about this one thing that's got to happen? It's got to happen. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And the truth is, if you cheated on someone or someone cheated on you, they're not good at this. I've been working with people recently who's becoming clear that they don't have this one, we would call it a sixth sense. They don't know how to really access their own emotions, because you got to numb out to wig out, right? To cheat on somebody, you got to numb out. You got to stuff some stuff away. And the truth is, the person who cheats on another person has probably been doing this for a long time, right? Stuffing their emotions, not processing, not accessing their emotions. They've probably been doing that for a long time. And so as a result, they've been doing things in that vein. The cheating is only a reflection of that. And we're not making light of cheating. It's wrong. I call it sin. It's bad. It's horrible. But I'm saying that there's some reasons behind it. And check out a video that I did a few months ago that talks about why people cheat. But here's the one thing that a person needs. If you cheated on them, or if you've been cheated on, you need this one thing. Here it is: empathy. You need empathy. You need to walk into their pain and feel it with them and suffer with them. You need to get to a place where you respect their pain so much that you would never want that to happen to them again. You feel it as if it had happened to you. You try to grasp it as if, my goodness, If my spouse, if my partner had done to me what I did to them, I would be in the same place they are. And you need to express that empathy day after day, time after time, day after day. Time. They'll never feel a sense of safety. They'll never feel like trust can be rebuilt. They'll never regain hope if you don't get good at expressing empathy. And in another video, we're going to talk more about empathy and the healing process. If you would like me to do more videos like this, to talk about this painful subject of cheating, if you want to talk about empathy, if you want to talk about, again, the recovery process, what's required, if you want to learn more about this, just hit me up in the comments. Let me know. Please like and subscribe to these videos. My joy, my delight, my goal, my aim is to be such a help to couples who are going through this painful process that you can just turn on a video and feel, y'all forgive that plane going overhead, you can feel such help. I obsess over this stuff. I'm thinking about you. I'm literally thinking about you. How can I help the people who watch these videos? How can I help them recover, get better in their relationships, heal from the cheating, the pain of it, the trauma of it? And I want you to know you can get better. Thank you for letting me be a part of the process with you. I'm Rod Harrison. I consider myself your coach today in this video. So wherever you are, wherever you are watching from, thanks for letting me spend some time with you. I'm glad you were here. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.